Hi, friends. It's time for another episode of Questions for Cole. I'm Cole. Welcome. It is March 24th, 2021, and this is our 45th episode. I have a couple of related questions to talk about today. One is about whether I am getting what people are calling Zoom fatigue. One person recently called it getting zoomed out. And the other one is about whether we're going to continue with how we are communicating online after we're back in the sanctuary for worship. Good questions. Well, I can certainly understand that many people are getting Zoom fatigue, especially those people who now have to use Zoom for their job as well as for their social time with family and friends. It can be hard on your eyes, for one thing, to be staring at a computer screen all day and all evening. I'm sure everyone would like to just go back to normal and see each other face to face. Well, maybe not everyone. I know of a couple of people who have commented that they prefer going to church by Zoom, and they would love it if we could continue to offer an online version of church once we're back to full in-person worship again. But that's just a couple of people. I'm sure the majority of you are getting tired of phones and laptops and computer screens and iPads and seeing people in little rectangular boxes on your screens rather than live and in person. And it's probably much more difficult depending on whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. For me, I am an introvert by nature, so maybe it hasn't taken a toll on me quite like it has on some of the rest of you. I'm actually still feeling pretty positive about all of my Zooming and FaceTiming and recording of services. Yes, it is a lot of time in front of the screens, but it has become the new normal over this past year, and I guess I've just adapted to it. Maybe it helps that I actually go to quite a few different places within our house for the different things that I do online on a regular basis each week. I used to joke about which studio I was in, depending on which room in the house I was recording in or zooming from that day. Let's see if I remember them all. Studio 1 was where I recorded our first few worship services in a corner of our kitchen way back in late March of last year. Studio 2 was downstairs with some wooden slats as a background. I recorded a few worship services from there. Studio 3 was also downstairs with the nice wall hanging from India behind me. You'll see that on occasion if you're on one of our council calls or in Sacrilegion or with our Lenten Reflections group or confirmation class. I still use that for meetings on occasion. Studio 4 was at the piano when we've recorded the occasional piece of music from home. Studio 5 is where I am right now. Welcome to Studio 5. And this is where I record all of the midweek messages and questions for Cole episodes. And Studio 6 is across the room over there, where I have the banners from the church hanging and the Christ candle and the rainbow candle all ready for recording Sunday worship services. It's quite the setup around here. And that doesn't include the times I've zoomed into meetings from the church office or recorded hymns in the sanctuary. So maybe it has helped with Zoom fatigue that I don't feel stuck in the same place all the time. What's the old saying? A change is as good as a rest? I think that can be true in some cases. I think it has also helped that what I'm talking about changes every week, and I get to see some of your faces too on a regular basis, whether it's Zooming with council members or the Sacrilegion group or the Lenten Reflections group or confirmation class, what have you. I can almost pretend we're in the same room together. Plus, I don't spend nearly as much time on Zoom as some people do whose job has them Zooming hours and hours and hours every day. A minister online was also talking about this subject the other day in regards to email fatigue. She was suggesting that some members of her congregation were excited to receive the bi-weekly emails from their church, while others admitted that they just weren't reading much of them anymore because they're receiving more emails from almost everywhere these days and it was just getting to be a bit too much. That minister said that the good thing was that people were being really open and honest with her about it, and that was a good thing. So she said if there was something that she thought people really needed to see, she would put the subject line in all caps, and it would say something like, Please read and respond. We'll have to think about maybe doing that once in a while if there's something we really don't want you to miss. I do know that all of you do your own picking and choosing. For example, we get to see the numbers of how many people watch the Sunday services compared to how many people watch these Questions for Cole episodes and the midweek messages. And the Sunday service numbers are always much higher than these midweek ones. I think that's to be expected. We know that not everyone is going to respond to everything that we're trying to do to keep connected. That's perfectly all right. But I also know that for some of you, every communication is important and you don't want to miss a thing. So some of you might have Zoom fatigue, and some of you might wish there were even more opportunities to hear from the church. We are trying hard not to leave anyone out. And if you are one of those who could use an extra phone call or want to do some emailing back and forth or whatever works for you, I hope you will let us know. Oh, and the other question, for those who hope that we will continue with the online content after we're back in church eventually, the answer to that is yes, that's definitely the plan. We don't want to lose our connections with those who have joined us online and those who prefer the online content, so we'll definitely be looking at continuing at least some of those offerings. And that's all for today. If you have questions for me, just send them my way and I'll do my best to answer them. My email is cole@selkirkunitedchurch.ca. Hope to hear from you soon. Stay well, everyone, and God bless you all.